Last night, we revealed the story of French spinal surgeon Richard Emery, who closed his practice and left Australia after he was the subject of repeated anonymous complaints and medical audits. The story has touched a nerve inside and outside the medical profession. One of the country's most renowned neurosurgeons, Dr. Charlie Teo, has backed Senator Nick Xenophon's call made on this program last night for a Senate inquiry into the medical complaints process. Charlie Teo has told Lateline that there is evidence of bullying in his profession that goes right to the top and that it's destroying the lives of doctors and their families. Today, Senator Xenophon added to the debate, describing the medical complaints process as being all about protecting a closed shop rather than the best standards of patient care. Steve Kinane has our report.
He may have moved back to France, but the plight of Dr. Richard Emery has now sparked calls for a Senate inquiry into the medical complaints process in Australia.
I'll be working on a Senate inquiry in relation to this. I've already had calls from some very senior surgeons around the country who say that what Dr. Emery experienced is not unique, and it raises some very disturbing questions about our health system.
Last night, Lateline revealed how Dr. Emery was the subject of a series of complaints and audits that ultimately led him to close his practice and leave Australia. Those complaints came from surgeons who in some cases were his competitors. Outspoken Sydney neurosurgeon Charlie Teo believes the complaints process is open to abuse and has backed calls for an inquiry.
I can tell you stories where it's gone that one step further than Richard Emery. Stories where good neurosurgeons, and I know this from first-hand experience, good neurosurgeons, good people, doing exceptional things, pushing the envelope and making the established neurosurgeons look bad. The established neurosurgeons then have bullied this particular person I'm talking about for more than 7 years, resulting in his death by suicide eventually. So, you know, Richard Emery, as you heard, was on the verge of suicide. There's another chap in Melbourne who's on the verge of suicide. Others have had their families completely destroyed and their lives destroyed.
Charlie Teo says there is a culture of bullying in surgery that goes right to the top.
There are, unfortunately, people that I know who are very guilty of bullying and discrimination, who are currently holding positions of authority in those bodies, like the College of Surgeons and like hospital medical advisory boards and expert advisory boards and associations. And unfortunately, while they're there, the culture's never going to change. So what I'd like to see is a system whereby complaints have to be legitimate. They have to be for the greater good. Like Nick Xenophon said, they have to be made in good faith.
Dr. Mukesh Haikerwal is a former president of the AMA and the chair of Beyond Blue's Doctors' Mental Health Program. He believes the APRA complaints process is harming the mental health of doctors.
It's part of the problem the way it does its work. It's part of the problem because of the way it does mandatory reporting. And it's part of the problem because of the way it just jumps on people's potentially vexatious claims and takes them all seriously without first investigating them. And that's really got to be moderated and changed to give people more confidence in the system.
Dr. Mukesh Haikerwal told a Senate inquiry 4 years ago that he was concerned APRA's notification system would lead to doctors losing their jobs due to claims made in bad faith. He says it's time the process was reviewed.
So if we do have someone who has a problem, we need to be able to identify them. We need to be able to know that they will be dealt with in a way that is the same way as we would like to be dealt with, with some respect, with some thoughtfulness. And obviously, if somebody's doing something that's wrong, that needs to be rectified.
No one from APRA was available for an interview. In a statement, a spokesperson said,
"If a notification is not made in good faith and assessment finds no risk to the public, the matter will be closed with no adverse outcome for the practitioner. If the board has evidence that a registered health practitioner has made a notification not in good faith, it will investigate and take appropriate action."
Dr. Charlie Teo believes a simple change to the system could protect doctors from vexatious complaints.
I have thought about it, and I think there are ways we can get around it. Things like benchmarking. Now, benchmarking simply says that, you know, if you're going to complain that my complication rate is high, can you please give me a jury of similar surgeons who do similar operations and show me what their benchmark is. Show me what my complication rate is compared to theirs, and if it's way, way higher, then I would concede. But if it's the same as or lower than, then please back off.
The Federal Health Minister Susan Lee was in her electorate today and wasn't available to speak with us. Her department did, however, respond to questions raised by last night's story, and you can read those answers on the Lateline website. The address is on screen now.